Take a look at this moment.
What do we do here?
Sir?
How we're introduced to Dedra Meero.
I open the question to the room. What do we do in this building? Why are we here? Anyone?
We're here to further security objectives by collecting intelligence, providing useful analysis, and conducting effective covert action, sir.
Although this isn't her first scene, it's the first we hear her speak in an ISB strategy meeting room. This atmosphere, this place, and what it stands for is who she is. All she is. No tension, no emotion. Not only is she the only female in attendance, she is also the only one either bold or dumb enough to speak when Major Patigras throws a question to the room. It tells you something about her straight away. She has done her homework and she is bold enough to act if called upon. She is prepared. While she is obviously an underdog in a sea of men, the script cleverly avoids making that narrative front and center because, well, it's lazy. Now, when you compare that to Azula's entrance, instructing soldiers on her fleet, instantly you feel it. She's no joke. Azula doesn't just lead through fear, she lives it. To her, it is the only way to guarantee duty, loyalty, and competence. Even her closest friends, May and Ty Lee, are not exempt from this. Dedra and Azula are great villains in their own right, but they feel different. Dedra feels like a woman doing her job. She could well be your cousin Olivia who works in HR or your friend Amy who is secretary to a local politician. She is normal, good, even. Azula, on the other hand, has a brooding presence, hard to ignore, authoritative, unwavering. She gives an aura of tyranny. She is bad. But what makes Dedra and Azula so menacing is what connects them as well.
Hello, Bix.
Femininity. In Avengers Infinity War, watching Thanos win was a major upset. It was almost shocking, but it set the stage perfectly so that when Endgame released, you knew how competent the villain is. I believe a villain's ability to make things happen effectively with small victories in the build-up to the final showdown raises the stakes of a story significantly. A villain is only as good as they are competent. Azula shows this in her terrifying chase after Aang, hunting him, tracking him down with a near effortless precision. A task not as easy as she made it seem. There was that shocking moment in Ba Sing Se, while everyone watched Aang in awe as he transformed, Azula took her chance to end the Avatar cycle for good with a tactical strike delivered with cold precision. That is competence. And it is one of the traits of a truly intimidating villain. You know, the type that makes you watch and mutter to yourself, "Don't slow down, she'll catch you." That intensity, the suspense, the feeling, those are the moments you remember. A villain should feel inevitable, so when they do fail, it will be something to relish. Dedra thrives on information. This is how she is able to carefully piece together rebel activities in real time, like fixing a giant jigsaw puzzle.
Sir, it is my feeling that this is part of an ongoing effort to steal proprietary Imperial equipment in anticipation of an organized rebellion. I have 3 previous case files on my desk that begin to suggest a pattern.
This makes her compelling. She's a villain written like a hero, but much more organized. Before we continue, let me just say, why be a guest instead of a housemate? A Mindhouse housemate. I really like giving each video the best production quality I can with my limited resources. So, if you enjoy my work, do consider supporting my channel by gifting me a membership on Patreon or right here on YouTube. It will help a lot with maintaining and improving the quality of my essays. Link is in the description. Also, there you will find exclusive video segments that provide more insights to my mind, available for free on Patreon and to channel members on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and I trust I'll see you in the Mindhouse. Now let's get back to it. Take a look at this.
Leave no witnesses. Burn it down.
This loud display, I believe, is to further push the point of Lendina being the bad guy. We should be terrified of her. We should feel dread. But instead, we feel nothing. We feel nothing because it's all brawn and no brain. We feel nothing because it is performative, lacking in any real substance. The script doesn't care much for earning the audience's fear or respect. Lendina is an empty shell. She is built to cosplay the attributes the writers think we love to see in male villains. All of the gender-specific nuances and attributes that could make her great are completely stripped away because apparently, according to these writers, women have to behave exactly like men to be taken seriously as villains. She is unfortunately reduced to a caricature. Watching miniature-sized women pretend to beat up men twice their size could be fun for an action lover like me, but it's nowhere near as impactful as those females exhibiting actual realistic feminine traits that can be damaging when used for villainy. Traits like, say, emotional manipulation, for instance.
She's on her way up. Would you like us to clear the room?
No. I want her to see him.
Observe how Dedra tries to break Biggs with her words before any torture begins.
You're in my net, Biggs. Seems a shame to end up on the carving board if your motivation here is just money.
She doesn't have to kill a room full of men to show she is a villain. She does so with her words. Yet this leaves a lasting impression in our minds. Less is more. Look at the restraint she displays when she is constantly sabotaged by her colleagues. She doesn't lash out. She stops, she thinks, she finds another way to get results. This underdog element makes her rise more enjoyable. It's slow, familiar. Because it is 100% how a woman you know would do it. And that takes 0% away from how we see or revere the character. But if Dedra's secret weapon is organization and stealth, then perhaps Azula's is control and fear. Although Azula is equally brilliant, she is a princess, which means, unlike Dedra, she already has power, and she doesn't have to work her way up. Yet, she lowers herself and does just that to conquer the Dai Li and Ba Sing Se. While many generals before her, including the famous General Iroh, tried to break the Great Wall from the outside, she did so from within. She is the perfect mind game expert, a strategist, a villain who is able to outthink and in most cases outperform anyone, including our hero. Yes, she is an impeccable fighter and maybe the fiercest firebender on the show. At her peak, she is almost unstoppable and truly a force to be reckoned with. Yet, the writers resist the temptation to reduce her to her physical capabilities. A seemingly arduous task for modern writers who write their female characters to be one-dimensional and better than everyone at everything with no apparent reason other than being female. Azula works with her intuition. She gets into the minds of her enemies. She knows when a show of force is needed and when to take a step back and show restraint. She is measured, just like Dedra. But what makes these characters even more formidable is a quality you might not expect: passion. When a villain is so convinced, when there's an unwavering belief that what they stand for is right and that every act of cruelty, every tightened grip is necessary for the greater good, at some point you start to see things their way. This sort of passion is what you would typically find in our hero. But here, our villains embody this as they are deeply rooted in what they believe. A belief so strong that they are willing to do anything and everything to achieve their goals.
Proceed.
And that unwavering commitment makes them so dangerous. To Dedra, the Empire is necessary and her loyalty to it is unbreakable, just like Azula's to the Fire Lord. If you look at their backstories, it is not so much about what was there, but rather about what was missing.
Tell me about your family.
I don't have one.
and how that, in whatever small way, played its part in shaping them into who they are.
I was raised in an Imperial kinderblock. We had everything we needed.
Except a mother's love.
Azula was raised as a weapon by the Fire Lord, a weapon already perfecting combat moves as a child, similar to Dedra, who was raised by an Empire foster care system. And if we know anything about the Empire, it is that these children are raised to do their bidding, to be weapons deployed to serve Emperor Palpatine someday. This, if nothing else, gives the audience a sense of relatability and empathy. It is also important because it leads me to the biggest contrast between the two. Throughout the Avatar series, if you paid close attention, you would notice something about Azula that stands out, even from childhood. Her smile. In the most incongruous moments, like when their father, the Fire Lord, burned her brother, her uncle, a war general, looked away. Yet Azula wasn't just staring, she was smiling. She enjoyed it. Look, again, when she strikes Aang with lightning, look at her face. These are but a few of several examples where she smiled at the discomfort or pain of others, being herself directly or indirectly the inflictor of said pain. This isn't really about smiling. It's about agency. Azula is menacing because she is allowed to have agency. There are several episodes that show us that despite her childhood circumstances with her mom, she chose her path because she likes it. The beach episode is a favorite that springs to mind. She meets a boy, she likes a boy. But while most girls her age dream of grand weddings or love, Azula fantasizes about conquering the world and watching her enemies burn with him by her side. It's not complicated. She enjoys being feared. I mean, she'd be bored if no one was in awe of her abilities or terrified of her. Unlike Dedra, we don't see ourselves in her. She is cold, calculating, organized, perfect. She is sublime. And I guess we're sort of inspired by how good she is at being bad. And Dedra? She's a great villain because we do see ourselves in her. She is normal. And at the start of the series, a part of you might even be tempted to root for her, until you remember who she works for, of course. Until we start to see that she isn't so normal after all, in the way she touches Bix and then proceeds to coldly plot and execute a genocide.
Proceed.
She's a great villain because she catches us by surprise. We can see what she is doing, but it only hits us in the last moment. Unlike Azula, she has no fight scenes, no martial arts skills that we know of, isn't overwhelming, and doesn't even use her blaster the entire series. But she shows restraint, she has faith, intuition, she is patient. The traits that make her villainy memorable are unapologetically feminine. And while Azula is imposing and scary, the traits that make us fear her aren't masculine at all. They are feminine traits that could otherwise be used for good, but when used for evil, have devastating effects. She happens to be subservient and loyal to the Fire Lord, the kind of lifelong loyalty a woman only has to a lover or a father. Psychiatrist, I should apologize because I'm about to butcher these names, but psychiatrist Ernest Charles Lassergueur and Jean-Pierre Fauré spoke on the phenomenon La Folie à deux in an 1800s paper. They observed that in close-knit isolated relationships, a mentally ill person, known as the primary, could essentially infect a healthy person, known as the secondary, with their delusions. And the research numbers show that the secondary is overwhelmingly skewed towards women. It's why we see serial killers whose girlfriends or wives find out what they are, but instead of turning them in, they start to kill for them or cover up their crimes. Harley Quinn's relationship with the Joker is one great example. That sick loyalty, that potential for evil due to a paternal or romantic bond, is easily one of the most eerie, uncomfortable things you will see on screen. And both Dedra and Azula portray a level of folie à deux in their villainy. But I believe the end of every story is just as important as its beginning.
Supervisor Jung spent 3 hours last night logged into your account.
Here is Dedra Meero at her end. No emotions, no colors. Alone in a pale room without ally or friend in an environment that depicts exactly how she lived her life. Cold. And here is Azula. Her last stand. A strategist whose most valued and dangerous weapon, her brain, cracks. Total chaos unleashed. No control, no balance, no strategy. Every suppressed emotion set loose at once. Such amazing villains. So well written, so memorable. And it isn't because of any superpower or brute force or great army, but the very intricate gender-specific attributes that elevate a character from generic to timeless. The very attributes Hollywood, for some reason, tries so hard to erase, spending millions of dollars creating overpowered female heroes and villains. Both Dedra and Azula worked because they were women. Real women. And boy, did they kick ass.
Is that it?
No. But I'll be in the Mind House if you care to join me.